We're in it for as long as it takes. That's what we would probably hear from this administration regarding the war in Ukraine. And given that they continue to pledge millions and billions of dollars to the cause, it's pretty easy to see that it means it. Although we are now seeing that even with all of the taxpayer-funded weapons and the ammunition that we've been sending, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky continues to call for more and more, and he says that the West is not providing it fast enough. Other countries, though, have now sent in additional weapons, although their own citizens are not very supportive of their decisions. Sounds a lot like what's going on right here. And speaking of support, isn't it peculiar as to how much support we provide for everyone else but continue to ask for donations for people who are suffering in our own country? The United States of America has groups that are asking for help for Americans, yet the government continues to send our money to other countries thousands of miles away. Does that sound right to you? Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. I really do appreciate that, and it helps a lot out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to global happenings, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, the stock market, the housing market, and what's really going on in Washington, D.C. that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And for the very best way to invest in gold, hit the link in the description down below this video. So the United States has sent out billions of dollars in financial aid to the Ukraine, which also includes military weapons and ammunition, in just a little over a year since the war began. You would expect that they're still armed to the teeth at this point because, again, we've sent so much of our own resources over there. But would you believe that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has admitted that they're now out of ammo? And would it surprise you to know that Zelensky is asking for more weapons before they can start a counter-offensive against Russia? I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Would it surprise you that he's asking for the United States to go ahead and provide them with even more ammunition? That's more like it. So here's what he said during a recent interview with a Japanese newspaper, quote, "We do not have ammunition. For us, the situation in the East is not good," end quote. Oh, I thought they were doing so well before. Is the truth finally coming out? Well, there you have it, guys. He just said that they are out of ammo. And he also said that allies like the United States and European countries should accelerate their supply of ammunition. Now, if we translate that, it could be him basically saying, that's right, what's taking so long, guys? Like, I know that you all have sent billions of dollars of weapons and ammunition to Ukraine, but what's a couple billion more? Zelensky has also said that they can't start their counteroffensive without their Western allies sending more military support. He said, quote, "We can't start yet. We can't send our brave soldiers to the front lines without tanks, artillery, and long-range rockets. If you have the political will, you can find a way to help us. We are at war and can't wait," end quote. The wait may have been worth it if we're talking about tanks, as Germany has now delivered 18 Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine's borders.
Germany's Der Spiegel magazine is reporting that Berlin has delivered 18 long-awaited Leopard 2 battle tanks to Ukraine. The German-made tanks were reportedly handed over to Ukrainian forces at the country's border. The delivery would mark a major shift in Ukraine's battlefield capability, and it would fulfill a long-held promise by Germany to Ukraine.
In a report from Reuters, it said this, quote, "The German army trained the Ukrainian tank crews as well as the troops assigned to operate the Marder vehicles for several weeks on training grounds in Münster and Bergen in northern Germany. Beyond the German vehicles, 3 Leopard tanks donated by Portugal also reached the Ukraine," end quote. UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace was quoted as saying that, much like other countries, they're in it for the long haul. Quote, "It is truly inspiring to witness the deterioration of Ukrainian soldiers having completed their training on British Challenger 2 tanks on British soil. We will continue to stand by them and do all we can to support Ukraine for as long as it takes," end quote. But despite this narrative, we're seeing pushback from some countries in Europe as they're now stuck between a rock and a hard place as their energy bills continue to shoot up as they have no access to cheap energy. Do you guys think that there's a chance that some of the nations start to kind of withdraw support from the Ukraine? I mean, just take a look at Germany. Yes, the same country that we just talked about, who sent tanks over to Ukraine. Hear me out. So Klaus Mueller, head of the Federal Network Agency, he said this about the situation just recently. Quote, "The danger of a gas shortage is still here. It depends a lot on whether we can continue to curb gas use and ensure diversified supplies into Germany. And there are risks," end quote. To add to that, Germany is facing some hurdles as protests are happening in their country, with unions asking for a pay raise as their energy and food costs continue to skyrocket. The mega strike, as they called it, is disrupting the country's public transport.
So we have 2 unions teaming up here. You have the Services Union Verdi and also the Rail Transport Union EVG. So they started these strikes at midnight tonight. This has been pretty well well telegraphed, and it's not the sort of chaos that we're seeing, in Israel and in France, but it is, disrupting all kinds of travel. You have flights that have been grounded, long-distance regional trains across Germany are closed, and as you'll know, Matt, the S-Bahn and U-Bahn distinction, the U-Bahn is running, the S-Bahn is not, and these are all the sort of train services across Germany that are basically ground to a halt here, and as well as the air travel. But we got a bit of that taste of that chaos yesterday with some issues with Deutsche Lufthansa, and it's all down to wages, right? So the Verdi is demanding a raise of 10.5% of the wages. They're now locked in their third days of talks, and what what's been offered is about a 5% raise, which is just not cutting it at this point. So this is all down to the same conversation we're seeing across the world and across Europe. Inflation rising up, and of course we get inflation from Germany later this week. In February, we had the figure at 9.3%. We're expecting that to come down a little bit, but still 7.4% may not be the kind of reassurance that Germany and the rest of Europe are looking for.
And I guess it's clear that their people are not happy with the damage that this war has caused to their economy and their way of living. Now, on that note, the way of living for those in Mississippi has been turned upside down due to the tornadoes that have hit them recently. Now, I want you guys to realize something with this situation. We're being asked by foreign nations and leaders to keep feeding money and weapons into a proxy war, but when our own brothers and sisters in different states are hit by calamities, we see the Red Cross asking for donations. Now, I'm not kidding you guys. This is what it says on Red Cross's own website. Quote, "The Red Cross is not accepting donations of food, household items, or clothing, as they cannot be distributed by our teams. Right now, financial donations are the quickest and best way to help those who need it most, which include the flexibility to purchase what they need," end quote. Now, I understand what they're trying to do, and this is a noble cause, especially since, we all want to help out, people over there to help them get what they need and what they deserve. But how the heck are we able to pledge millions upon billions of dollars of taxpayer money to the Ukraine while groups like the Red Cross has to beg for help for Americans right here at home? I mean, does this even come close to making any kind of sense? Please, somebody help me make some sense of this. I mean, what kind of message does this send to us? That the government has all the checks to write for everybody else in the world outside the citizens who actually pay for all the wages? And while we're at it, what's happened to the people of Pennsylvania? Now, I know I sound like a broken record, but have we forgotten that, they had one of the worst toxic leaks in our country's history? I mean, what's being done to help them out? I don't know. Is it just me who's wondering about all these different things? Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, because I am honestly so troubled by all of this. I also know that many of you are also troubled with your finances. Cash flow is a huge issue, and inflation has pretty much eaten up our purchasing power. There isn't a whole lot for us to look forward to, but I do want you guys to understand something. Times may be tough, but I know that a huge part of this community is tougher. And if you guys want to learn more about opportunities to generate multiple streams of income, be it side hustles or small businesses, maybe you need a guiding hand with budgeting, or maybe you want to invest money in the stock market or real estate, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community where we talk about subjects like this. And of course, for the best way to invest in gold, the link for that and the Patreon community is in the description down below of this video. Now, the path to financial freedom, it's not easy, but it's also not impossible. Now, before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I will see you on the next video.